Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome in 17 and some change. I'm EcuDes17 here to bring you my 2 cents. I would say happy Wednesday, happy hump day, but today isn't Wednesday. Today is Thursday. I unfortunately got mandated at work yesterday, so I was kind of stuck there for 16 hours. I didn't get a chance to record. Um, Coming back today, recording today. Um, it is day 30 or 31 or something like that without marijuana. Last week I was lamenting and I was feeling, I don't know, almost sorry for myself, uh, but it's things have been good since then. It was just kind of a blip on the radar. You get those days every once in a blue moon. Actually, today I'm a little bit more frustrated, and uh, even though I'm kind of calming down now, but um, I was a little frustrated, agitated after leaving work. It's still something that I'm working on, but people. Uh, Tend to get under my skin sometimes, certain types of people. I think I've talked to you guys about it before. Just ego driven individuals, particularly men, little men with Napoleon complexes, just sneaky people, little bastards and stuff like that. And being stuck in forced proximity with these types of people, I just, it really frustrates me. Like, you can't punch people, and like, you can't fight people, and my monkey brain just kicks in when I'm around dudes that are like, just fucking like weak men that are like trying to like pose as not that, as trying to pose as the opposite of that, or just disingenuous people and dudes, and like 20% of society are these people, and it's just, you want to fucking just fucking choke slam these motherfuckers sometimes, but you know you can't do that shit. um just these conniving fucking uh it was a twofold, but anyways, so once again, this is why I have to kind of cultivate my own entourage and stuff like that. But we're here now, and speaking of fuck faces, um, they arrested Andrew Tate on a bunch of different shiz, a bunch of bad stuff, and there was a point in time where I thought, hey, you know, and I'm still not entirely sure, but you think like, hey, maybe it is some kind of conspiracy against him by like the elite class, by you know uh, uh government that just doesn't like what he's saying and stuff like that. But he's uh I'm trying to think like if there's anything redeemable about him. I mean, he's an entertaining personality, um, but like 95% of the things that he's one of those braggadocious people, and the more that I see and learn about him in the case, the more um, I'm like, okay. I see what kind of person you are and shit like that. It's tough to make a judgment, but like he says some shit, and that's not that great, and he's not the best role model in the world, but I don't even care. Like I don't really care about him. Um, but it's like big news and stuff like that. Um, but whatever, he's not worth my brain power right now. Um, really, the main thing that I wanted to talk about, and I kind of, yesterday would have been a much better day to catch me, in terms of any of this, but one thing I did learn about the Tate situation, I guess there's a kink that is monogamy enforcement. I never knew that was a kink, so that's pretty weird. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of things talking about him, like do like just reprehensible, unforgivable stuff. You know, again, I don't really want to get into it. I just had that as a note because I never knew about that particular kink. I'm not saying that video um, that's circling the internet is justifiable because it that's what it is. I don't even know like how old that person in that video was. Like everybody's saying like he's doing mad shit with minors and stuff like that. And so, but it's like on a related but separate note, I didn't know like a monogamy enforcement kink like existed, you know. I was gonna talk about some of the things that are getting ruined by commercialization, mainly the video game industry, um, just like microtransactions everywhere, giving us shitty products, giving us clunky ass games and stuff. GTA 6 better be good, but now, like I talked about before, they're not doing discs. Um, I heard Nintendo might start doing really good compared to like Xbox and PlayStation. Um, I don't know. I don't play video games a little bit. It's a shame because in today's day and age with the technology that we have, like games should be so immersive, so fun. Like there's no reason like first of all, there's no reason the NFL should have had a um an exclusive deal with EA Sports. And then after 7 years or whatever it is, or whatever it was, 20 years, whatever the hell it was, with that exclusive deal, and everybody clamoring for competition. And like the consensus being that 2K was giving EA a run for its money, the NFL still was like decided to renew the deal with EA. And so sports are highly commercialized. They don't give an F about the audience. There's just sponsorships all over the effing court, commercials every effing minute. Um, it, it's just automobiles. All these automobiles are being designed to the point where like you can't even work on your own car. Like everything has to go through these companies because they're making everything like electric and whack. There's other stuff too, you know. I would say movies, but um, I actually watched the Supergirl movie this past like I don't know a few days ago or whatever, and this was gonna be the main topic, the main point of this of this podcast, of this conversation, and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go through a bunch of stuff in regards to this movie, because I don't understand why people are hating on it. Okay, a lot of times when people say, oh, it's like misogyny or racism that is making a movie fail, or just when they throw around those words in general, I typically like roll my eyes, because a lot of times those labels are unwarranted, and the anger is justifiable in in a lot of ways, shape or form. Um, it has seemed like there was simultaneously a rise in girl bosses while shitting while the mainstream movies and TV shows and everything you got your hands on would like shit on masculinity and stuff like that. And trust me, a lot of parts of masculinity deserve to be shat on, but and maybe they had their time in the sun, but we have a whole generation that don't have as many positive male role models as they do female role models. So to me there was something to this idea of like, all right, girl bosses are getting too much play. They're changing races of like different people. Cultural Marxism is a growing part of our political landscape. Um, but then on the other side, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's still space for that type of representation. Like, there's still space for like strong female characters and different things like that. Like, not every single example of like a strong female lead has to be because um political bias or like extreme leftism, or whatever the case is. Sometimes, I mean, little girls need role models and stuff like that too, and females in general need representation, and I get it. Like, we all need representation, and I'm only bringing this up because the movie was so good that I almost feel like that had to be a part of it, right? That had to be a part of the reason that it bombed. Um, and it's kind of it's you would have never heard me talking like this in the past, like prior to watching this movie, right? I would have been way more inclined to be like, oh yeah, another politically motivated girl boss movie, but like it was a good movie. Like, it was actually, if I'm ranking it amongst superhero movies that I've seen, it's probably the second best superhero movie that I've ever seen, behind uh Tobey Maguire's original Spider-Man. And I know that's high praise and stuff like that, but I don't care. And I'll get into all the reasons that I thought it was a fantastic movie, a movie that I could watch over and over and over again and not get tired of. It was a great movie. It was a perfect movie as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, some people might be watching this and laughing and doing the hokey pokey and turning themselves around and but but I'm gonna get into to the reasons that I messed with it, heavily. And eh, like I said, if I did this yesterday, I could have probably defended it a little bit better, but it doesn't matter. I still have enough of a remembrance memory in my head about what happened and stuff like that, and I have notes and stuff like that. So, um, um, so yeah, it might have just been like a big part of the hate might have been just an anti woke, like just to be anti woke just for the sake of being anti woke, and not to beat a dead horse. But yeah, I would be the first person typically to tell you like, yeah, I don't mess with wokeness, but uh, But when it comes to this movie, like it doesn't deserve that heat. So now I will say, uh, as another preface, um, I've never read the comic books that this was based off of. Um, so the people who are mad at the movie because they expected it to be more like the comic book, I can't really hate on that. I can't really speak to that so much. Um, because it did, from what I'm from the reviews that I'm watching and stuff like that, it does sound like it deviated from the source material more than slightly. So if you disliked it because it didn't match the comics, like that's a little bit more understandable and stuff like that. But as a standalone movie, as a movie like on its own, um, I thought it was great. I thought it was great, and I thought it was superb. So I thought the interplanetary aspect was really cool. The fact that they were in space, and oh, by the way, there's going to be spoilers and stuff like that. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, you could pretty much shut off this episode because I don't have any topics that I'm going over after this topic. Um, no, I thought the interplanetary thing was cool. The fact that they went to different planets and stuff like that was really cool. The scene where she's like really pissed off, and she like goes out of space and like screams into the void, and and you can't hear anything. Um she's like screaming at the top of her lungs, but you can't hear a peep because it's in the void of space. And then like a teardrop falls, but it doesn't fall, it just kind of floats there. Like that was so cool. That was so freaking cool. Um Very rarely have I seen something like that in a movie, you know. I thought um um hold on. Is it Yeah, okay. I just didn't want to get the name wrong. I've been hearing the name and saying the name a lot the past few days. Millie Alcock. I just for some reason I was like, is it Millie? But no, Millie Alcock, she caught another weird thing. She caught a lot of heat for like being ugly or whatever. People like making fun of her teeth and people like making fun of her appearance. First of all, I think that's messed up. But I think it's wrong as well. I mean, to me, um she's not ugly. She's kind of uh, the opposite of that. Um, but I, you know, I don't know what's up with these people like calling her ugly and shit like that. I think that was fucked up, and I don't think it was correct. Um, um, and then it like so outside of that, like I thought she was cool. I thought like the character she was the way she was portraying the way the character was written was really cool. Um Funny, um funny as shit, like cool, aloof. She had like that lean back, like that laid back swag with a little bit of cynicism. Um and she kind of gave me like Kesha vibes. I was a big Kesha fan back in like I don't know, whatever, 12 years ago or whatever it was when she was really popping. But there's a song like Wake Up in the Morning Feeling Like P. Diddy, grab my glasses, I'm at the door, I'm gonna hit this city. Which didn't age well. But it's that vibe. It's that vibe. This Millie Alcock as Kyra, she carried over that vibe. You know what I mean? She was funny, cheeky, um, and I thought her character was great. Um, she had like melee skills. Like she knew how to fight a little bit even without her powers. She didn't have her powers like in the beginning of the movie. She got depowered a few times, but in the beginning, when she's on the planet with the red sun and she doesn't have any powers, I thought she showed some decent fighting skills for, for a 23-year-old female or whatever. Um, and then she showed bravery. She was sticking up for what was right. And I'm gonna come back to this later when I'm debunking some other things that people were saying that were bad about her, um, and the movie and her role and stuff like that. I thought the character was resourceful. I thought the character was creative. Um, it highlighted she was carrying trauma, and it illustrated the burdens that trauma has on individuals really well. That movie did. Um, you know, the whole aspect where it showed like Krypton dying, like not in like one not in like one day like it's been depicted in the past of it like just blowing up or whatever. Like it showed how like a portion of the planet still survived and they were like in like a little bubble. And I thought that was cool. That was the first time I saw that idea or that being expanded on in any way, shape, or form. I thought that was really cool. It had sadness, it had depth. Um, the different suns were cool. The red sun, like I alluded to, planets with yellow suns. There was a planet with a green sun and a yellow sun, which was dope. Um, yeah. And then there was a line, which I'll come back to this line as well, where the girl says, and this was really important because this is going to help me debunk or oppose some negative points that I've heard in the later on in the episode. But she says to Kara, the second main character, uh, what was her name? It doesn't matter right now because I'll tell you her name later. But that second main character that was rolling with her, she was like, yeah, like, um, you're not always nice, but you're kind, and you're not perfect, but you're good. And that's deep. That's deep. If you stop and you actually hear what that's saying and you actually marinate on on what it means, like that is deep as fudge. Because you don't always have to be nice to be kind, right? And you don't have to be perfect to be good. And like I said, I'll swing back to that because that's put a little tab on that because that's an important line right there. Um, that just kind of went over some people's heads. Um, Great suspense. And the movie was a perfect length. The movie was a perfect length. It wasn't too long. Batman, I thought was a good movie. The one with Pattinson, with Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson's a great actor as well. Um, but that movie was so long. That movie was so long. This one was the perfect length. You know what I mean? Um, so some people are mad or lamented about how like a lot of the side characters didn't have much depth. They weren't really hashed out like Kara's the the girl that was rolling with Kara, Ruthie, that's her name. They were like, oh, Ruthie's character wasn't too hashed out. Lobo's character wasn't too hashed out. The main villain's character that was super forgettable wasn't too hashed out. But yo, like again, if you hash out all these characters, then the movie's length becomes way too long. Like it was a perfect length, and I thought this movie was at its absolute best when it was focused on Kara, focused on Supergirl. Um, I found the movie super, like really easy to follow, like pleasantly easy to follow. Like it always told you like what was going on and in the plainest terms possible. Like it didn't leave you like, oh, where are we? How did we get here? Why are we here? Uh, like no, I was able to follow it. I was able to follow the plot. The plot did not get lost. It was pretty straightforward. Some people will complain about that. Whatever. Um, I'm gonna defend this movie like I'm getting paid off of it. You know what I mean? It's absolutely abhorrent that it 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 did the way it did in the box office. Like the numbers are absolutely like there's no excuse for this movie to do as poorly as it did in the box office. That's why when they're like, "Oh, it's going to be like misogyny or something," I'm like, "Fuck it, maybe like people just want to like are dying to like see the movie fail or whatever, and like maybe most of the people that hated on it didn't even watch it or whatever, but or they watched it with a closed mind or whatever. Again, I don't I can't tell you why exactly the movie flopped. You know there are movies. I don't have examples now, but you can look it up. There are movies that have flopped originally and then became cult classics where they're referred to as like amazing movies. Do I think this will ever come to it? I mean, maybe, maybe not, probably not, but like if Mafi Moch to those who don't contribute to it doing so. Mafi moch, no lack of brain. You're not having a brain. I mean, everybody's got their own opinions and stuff like that. It's just to me, it's so cut and dry. Like uh, uh, it was. I cannot see how it's not an awesome movie. Um, uh, Maybe I'm a little bit biased because when I was in my early 20s, Kara, the person like Kara is the type that uh, uh, illustration that version of Kara is the type of person that I would have kicked it with. Um, like when I used to like be a pot smoker and just like too cool for school and shit like that. Um, yeah, that's she's like the type of person that I would have kicked it with. Like she's the type of person I would have chilled with like all day. Like actually, I had friends like her. But um, but doo doo boo. So okay, doo doo boo. Yeah, and then people were complaining that like, oh, there's too many instances of her being like depowered or like running into kryptonite or being like attacked by radiation and like losing her power and stuff like that. Like I thought every single instance made sense. Um first of all, you can't spend your like you can't people have always complained about how Superman and by extension Supergirl are like way too overpowered, and like there's no point, like that's the main reason that I hear from people who choose like Batman over Superman or different characters over Superman. Their main issue is that Superman is like egregiously overpowered. I've always pushed back with like, yo, look at the type of opponents that he has to go against. And also, he has a weakness that absolutely cripples him. And yet he still goes and he still moves forward and he fights through the weakness, and it doesn't work, but like he ain't a bitch about it. You know what I mean? And she ain't a bitch about it either. And I thought every time they introduced depowering, it made sense. Um, whether it's when she was on the red planet, the red sun planet in the beginning, and she's like trying to, she's there because she wants to feel, because she doesn't usually feel, and she wants to feel by like getting drunk. She wants to feel by not feeling. She wants to get drunk, and you know what I'm saying, and it's like that adds to the Kesha vibe 100%, and it makes sense, you know, a traumatized 23-year-old, too cool for school type chick like wanting to get drunk. That makes way too much sense. Like, yeah, of course. And then when she ends up on that green sun, yellow sun planet. That was cool as shit. That planet looked cool. You know, some people were complaining like, "Oh, all the planets look the same." I'm like, "Yeah, they probably made the planets like look like that to represent like um they did it with the idea that like life has to have oxygen and different stuff like that. Um Oxygen and water and different stuff like that. But that planet where it was green sun, yellow sun, that was a cool ass looking planet. You know what I'm saying? And then she's green sun, she's like dying in a cave and stuff like that. And then the yellow sun comes out, she repowers up and stuff like that. She gets into that boss battle. And then you think like she's got all her power, she just gonna kick that ass or whatever. And then she gets caught, she gets hit with like three arrows and whatnot, and that was cinematic AF. You know what I mean? That was super cinematic. Um, just like like it was dope. It was dope. It worked, and yeah, no, there was um so that weakness balances out the strength. You know what I'm saying? It's a dichotomy. You're seeing a god reduced to like an immense suffering. Like you're seeing. So there's a dichotomy there. You know what I mean? Like I said before. So that adds suspense. Like I said before, I loved how it added that backstory of her home planet and like meeting her parents and like the things that they told her about like being good and um interesting to see them double down on the idea that Clark's parents sent him to Kal-El's parents sent him to Earth to be a conqueror, because they say that really briefly. So that was kind of cool. I mean, not cool, but interesting. Um, then she has this flashback to like seeing Clark, and he's like, "Yeah, we wear this blue suit, like we wear this colorful suit to show like the world that we're good and stuff like that." And it's like people complain about her being nihilistic, but there was time and time again where the movie reiterated to you the fact that through all that nihilism and through all that pain, she maintained goodness, you know, and that's what we need to do, right? And that goes back to that phrase, not perfect but good. You know what I'm saying? So like you can be broken and you could be bitter, but that doesn't uh, excuse you from not for that doesn't mean you can be a bastard or bad or a backstabber or a motherfucker. You know, no projection there, by the way. Um, and so that leads into, yeah, she's warning Ruthie about ultimately killing Krem. She's like, nah, don't do it. Like, it's gonna taint you and stuff like that. And then she goes on to kill Krem. And and a lot of people had issues with that. I think one thing you have to realize is that Ruthie was only 13. So uh so trying to, like, it's not that Ruthie hadn't experienced bad things or hadn't been tainted or traumatized in her life, but she was still really young, and Kara just didn't think it was good for her to do the murder yet. She felt herself. She felt like herself was already more tainted, and then and that killing itself goes back to that phrase, like, not perfect but good. But then again, like, also, when did, that's kind of a precedent that, that's Kant, that's Immanuel Kant, that's Batman, that's a precedent that Bruce Wayne set, where he's like, yeah, I don't kill no matter what. You know what I mean? But, like, when did it really make you a bad person or not good to kill the bad guy? You know what I mean? She killed the bad guy. So you can't say, if anything, that makes her imperfect. It doesn't make her not good anymore. She's still the good person in that situation, as far as I'm concerned. Um, yeah, I thought the visuals were fine. Some people complained about that finale fight because it was in slow motion. That slow motion was sick, as far as I'm concerned. So that's my 2 cents on the movie. I am not getting paid uh, by these people or anything like that. It's just kind of where I stand, and how I feel, and stuff like that. I liked the movie. Um, and uh, yeah, I also, I don't know. Hopefully, um, yeah, I know I've come across the little, but come across a little. No, I'm just. Anyways, um, I know the vibe of the past few episodes have been a little bit different since there's been no more marijuana and stuff like that, and that's one thing I said. Like, I don't know if I still have access to, like, the chillest version of myself without marijuana. I feel like I'm, you know, uh, way more amped up, and like more angry and stuff like that, and but not perfect, but still good. um and we'll see. I mean, I've done a lot of caffeine, and I've been exposed to some people that really get under my skin the past couple days, so uh, maybe that's part of it. But that's just uh that's just something that maybe even shouldn't be broadcasted on this podcast. But whatever, man. I'm glad you guys exist, and what if you haven't watched the movie yet? Watch the movie. It's a great movie. Um, and then watch it some more, and then watch it again, and then support it. And I'm not being paid by them. And yeah, I think what I'm gonna do in the following weeks from today, um, I'm going to. I made a short and it said like, "Oh, I've we've come up with official policy positions on like almost every major like political issue." Um, I've yet to post that to my website yet. I've posted like the brief version on Instagram. Uh, I gotta go onto my website. I gotta clean my house, but I gotta go onto my website and get those policy positions up and join it on there. But I think what I'm gonna do in the future episodes that we're here together, I'm gonna go over some of those positions with y'all, and kind of like hash those out and stuff like that. But yeah, once again, day 30, day 31 without the marijuana. Um, Still living in a calorie deficiency, but uh, whatever. Supergirl was a great movie. Y'all take care. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Um, yeah. Goodbye.